Okay, namaste, galactic family. Welcome back to the channel, guys. Come on into this dimension, come on into this galactic container, and come on into the room. I'm so excited to be here today. We have an amazing show that we have put together for you guys, and I'm so excited to bring forth Lightstar and Pink Bella Aloha as we have been putting together so much amazing stuff to bring forward this event container here coming up in the following weekend. And so we're excited to talk about all this with you guys. And so yeah, come on in. How are you guys doing today?
I'm doing great. How are you?
Fabulous.
Really grateful to be here.
Yeah, thanks for having us on. And yeah, we're all doing great. Energy feels awesome.
Yeah, so it's so awesome that I can come together with the both of you. We have been, like you said in the last show that we did on the Mark Atwood show, we've been building this camaraderie. We've been building this, bringing together all of the information, bringing together all of the collaborative ideas for us to be able to transmit in so many different cosmic ways with all of the viewers. And it's really an exciting time. I feel like we're finally coming out of what felt like somewhat of a collective dissension cycle. And now we're starting to pick back up and we're starting to feel the flow of the universe and the cosmic energy and just the, springtime, the equinox, all of that. So what kind of energies are you guys picking up on coming into the equinox?
Happy equinox, new blessings, new beginnings. I just feel over energized. Like I'm got this very exciting energy.
Yeah, it definitely feels like, we're still feeling like winter here. We haven't quite come into the spring weather yet, but but we're feeling like we're ready for it.
Yeah.
We're ready for jumping out of the gate. I feel like we've kind of just been gestating and integrating a lot of frequencies and energies throughout the winter. So we're all like ready for spring.
Yeah, we're ready to anchor the light. We're ready to anchor new potential and possibilities. And what makes me feel like I'm going back into the reactivation of what my mission is. I've been feeling that a lot lately, that it's time for mission. It's time for getting focused, getting recalibrated. And yeah, so we have so much we're going to talk about today. Really, and I'm kind of stalling just a little bit because I'm just giving time for people to come on in the room.
Yeah.
Let everybody kind of join us. We have 24 people in the room with us right now. And actually, you know what? I told you
everybody.
I was going to screen share the back screen so you guys could see this is what we're working with on our live here. But we have our chat over in the corner. And you know what? I wanted to tell everybody watching today. So I did disable it in a way that you do have to subscribe for at least 1 minute to the channel to be able to access the comments. Just because we want people in the room that are going to be coming in and being respectful, and also just be dedicated to the channel and all of these things. So you do have to subscribe to the channel to be able to comment in the chat. But yeah, and Arizona Raven, she's amazing. She is my monitor in here and I love her so much. She always does an amazing job. But yeah, so we'll pop back in and forth throughout the show today just to check all of the comments. We're going to be taking questions. We're going to be looking at everything you guys are saying and make sure we're incorporating it in the show today. But we have so much to get into. We're going to be covering everything.
I see Rob's on here and he was wondering if I might do some light language. So maybe I will do something for that a little bit later.
Aloha, Rob.
Yeah.
Aloha.
Hi, Rob. Yeah, thanks for being on here.
Yeah. I
was really looking forward to that too.
Go ahead. Yeah, I really wanted to just wish everyone happy equinox, because this is such a powerful day. And it's also new moon in Aries, where we've moved into the Aries energy. So it's like, I feel that fire. I really feel a shift.
Oh my gosh,
Yeah.
there is definitely that.
Yeah. Yeah. So
Yeah, it definitely is. And what I was going to say was I was thinking about that too, because the light language you did when we did the Mark Atwood show, I mean, the Lyran language that came through, I thought, my gosh, it was so
Definitely.
good. It was so beautiful, so amazing, so activating.
I'm definitely feeling, and I feel like that's probably why I had the Andromeda energy of the spray. So maybe we're in because they're like, oh, well, that's the one that wants to come in today. So probably that's the one I'll probably do. So, but yeah, that was really powerful and really fun. And it was great being on there to share with everybody. And it was great. So I was excited about that. I always love doing light language. I mean, it's part of who I am. So I like to share that.
You're so good at it. I feel it's so courageous. I wish
Absolutely.
that I had the ability to speak the light language that you do. I feel it coming into my mind and my heart in a way that I can hear it coming in, but I hold back in my expression.
Of course,
And
that's like the main, I was just talking to my partner, my bear, I call him Bear, stands with Bear. He's my beloved. And I was just talking to him last night about this too, where it's probably some of the things that we're going to get into either maybe today too, about this aspect of having to step forward, having to step forward into what you're supposed to do. And I was saying to him, this is something I've always felt because I had to step into something so unique and sort of out there, right, at the time. And it's like, I said to him, if you're trying to shift a career from like a corporate world or whatever, and then you say you want to become a chef and you're like, I want to become a chef, well, that's like a pretty known standard thing, but it might be a big jump for you because it's coming from this world to that world. But, a chef is something we all recognize here on the planet as a career. But then when you're trying to do what I had to do is step into light language practitioner or whatever, it's like, oh, I feel like I could just, I could help anybody move into anything because of what I've had to do. It's really like, this is not the norm that you just, I think I'll just step out from a very corporate world to light language. It's like, yeah. So it's that we were laughing about it. I'm like, yeah, they think it's like a big deal.
No. So mine started to come in like last year, but I'm still shy to do it on camera.
Yeah.
Like I've released a couple transmissions and I record for other people, but I maybe after our course, Lightstar will elevate all of us so much.
It definitely does help to stimulate people to even just my light language activations on my YouTube channel. I mean, so many people have just been activated by that alone.
Of course. Yeah. Yeah.
Doing it. And I think it's
go ahead.
It's just a step forward, just to give, that's one of my roles, to step forward and give people the inspiration and the courage. Literally, this image behind me is actually all about that too. It's kind of like about stepping forward and the courage. You can't see the whole image, but it's about stepping out of fear, basically. So that's kind of a biggest theme that happens with that. So I'm sure we're going to get into that a lot in the class for sure.
Yeah.
So that was one of my questions that I was going to ask all of you. We can even go around the table if we want. Like, when did you realize you were a starseed, that you resonated with a starseed being that? Because I feel like there's a couple of components. Like, you first figure out that you are a starseed, that resonates with you. Then you hear the call to mission, and then you go, oh my. So that was my question for all of you, for both of you.
Yeah. Should we just go ahead and answer those like now, since we're on it?
Yeah, definitely. I think it would be great to hear about that origination point where that realization set in for each one of us, because I think we have a lot of people watching. We have people who are looking at it from a skeptical point of view. We have people who are looking at it like, this is fantasy. We have people who are activating for the first time. We have new ascension waivers coming in, and then we have people that are way down, the starseed line, and they're just really already in mission and really embracing the energy. So I think it helps for everyone, no matter where you're at, to hear about those specific points in our journey. And it is activating. And so I know both of you have been on the Starseed journey for a long time, but can you remember the specific point and when you realized your connection to the galactic energies, like how it came in, when it came in?
Absolutely. I guess I'll jump in now first. Is I do remember that point, because even though I consider myself spiritual, really, I was kind of awakened when I was younger, and I had experiences of that, but not to the galactic really content. Maybe we had like visitations or we had connections, but not really for me until I would say 2009 is when it really came to. Now I shouldn't say that, like I would say like that was the defining moment, but I would always like be reading books. Like I was reading Barbara Marciniak's Pleiadian books before that, but I didn't even correlate like with what I'm doing, or I'm this or I'm that. I just was kind of like, oh, that's interesting, but when I came here, I literally it was like I remember an advertisement that came across in the magazine here. And it was in the one that everybody gets here. It was like a Kudos magazine, whatever. And this words, big page, full page ad of a class. And it was like Starseed, class, galactic class or something like that. And I was like, my heart just went, oh my God, I think I have to go to this,
Oh, I love it.
It was really so when I went to that meeting, and then it's just like, obviously you find like all these people that are showing up that are Starseed, and you start having these conversations. And the person was having like weekly classes at the time. So you would, for that moment, that was really the opening seed of my awakening to this whole Starseed content, and all of the galactic information that started streaming through. And then it was, obviously from there, a bit of deciphering and integrating and all of that. But that was like I say, it's like because of an ad, but that's really what it was. It really triggered something that it was like an alarm clock, that it's time,
I agree.
So that was my defining moment.
It's amazing.
What about you, Pink Bella?
Oh, well, I kind of came into everything backwards. I found out I was a starseed first before all the other bits and pieces, but I was traveling through Africa and I went to the pyramids. I always wanted to go to the pyramids in Giza. And at one point I just had my crystals and I was guided to just stay there and go and meditate there every day. So I was talking to a collective, but I didn't understand what it was all about. But I just kept saying to them, why can't you just land the ships? Then we'll have peace in the Middle East. And I got this intercom message. It's too soon. It will scare the collective. And then I forgot all about it. And I went about my life and I came back to Canada and I was lost. Like I'd had such a recalibration. I didn't know what was going on. And I was brave enough to go have a reading with someone. I'd never had a reading with anybody. It's 97. And she said to me, oh, you're not from here. You're from off planet. Have you read Bringers of the Dawn? I can still hear her voice. So that was when she didn't say the word Starseed, but of course, as soon as I started reading about the Pleiadians, I got activated. And I was like, then all the pieces fell into place. And I was like, oh, it made sense. I traveled the world, I don't know how many times, trying to find like where I belonged, what I was supposed to do for a living, all that sort of stuff. So It was early, but they didn't I went snoozed back to corporate, and then I got reactivated again around 2007.
Yeah.
What about you, Indy?
So for me, I think there is this thing with starseeds is that a lot of us, some of us, not all of us, but some of us come through the dark night of the soul.
Yeah.
And for me, it was very much that case. I was suicidal at one point in time in my life. I would say it was 2012, 2013. And that was when all of the awakening started.
That was an intense year. Like that was 2012 was an intense year. Yeah.
Well, at that time, I couldn't see collective energy. I couldn't see what was going on with the planet. I didn't understand planetary ascension. I didn't know about any of that. I just knew my immediate reality with my family in all of the, chaos that ensued, and just feeling very alone, feeling like I didn't have support, feeling like things were very difficult, dealing with addiction and substances at that time as well. And so I was just acting out, very self-destructive. Things were very, difficult at that time. And I felt like I actually, through my suicide experience, I had a walk-in soul from that. And I didn't realize the events as they were unfolding. I didn't realize what was happening, but I was just living upon spirit at that time. I felt actually when I had woke up from that situation that occurred, that like Christ actually descended into me in the form of a dove. That's why I got this tattoo.
Oh, wow.
This dove.
Okay.
And I didn't even know at the time. I had no idea what was going on. I just was like, I seen a dove, and I'm going to get a tattoo now. And it was just all of this unfolding of this energy coming into me, shifting into me, filling me up from a different place, from source, versus where I was trying to draw energy, which was from all of these other dead resources, basically.
Yeah.
And through that process, I just was downloading light intelligence and information so fast, so quickly. It felt so scattered. I felt so out of my body at times. I was having experiences where I was actually coming in and out of my body, even when I was driving. I remember I would have to pull over on the street because I knew I was coming out of body while I was driving.
Yeah.
And I was like, I'm going to crash my car. And I'd have to like pull over and just focus on breathing. And so I, again, just kept searching for things that really resonated with me. And in the beginning, I came into Arcturian meditations. I didn't even know what it was. I just started doing these Arcturian. And so the Arcturian started coming to me, and it felt very weird and very foreign. I remember I had a girlfriend come over when I was listening to an Arcturian meditation. She's like, "What are you doing? What are you doing? This is weird." And I was like, but it's coming into me and it feels good. It feels like it's shifting my energy. It's taking me higher and higher and higher. And so it just was a series of events from there, of bringing and attuning and bringing the energy in. And I tell you, I went 2 years of just being so far out there, so far out in crazy land, that I couldn't even connect with anybody, like human beings, anything. The conversations I would have with people, I could feel people really distancing themselves from me. I mean, they would really like, don't talk to her. She's gone.
Well, your frequency would have changed too. So that's what I noticed along the journey. Like
that happens a lot to all of us who, when we open up, sometimes we had to go like way over here.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
First, because we have to like experience what this is. And then we start coming, okay, let's come back to center. And it's like a process of us kind of veering out and exploring and all of that. And then coming back to the grounded place where we can anchor it all in.
Right. Well, we kind of have to cocoon, I think, a little bit, right? When we go through that experience.
Processes and become the chrysalis, and before we can, branch out into the butterfly. It's like all of us go through that. I don't think that we just go through it one time. We go through it several times throughout our even just one incarnation here. Not to mention all the other dimensional aspects of us going through the same thing. So, it's kind of overwhelmed, when we get a lot of this wake up call, and it, then we start, playing around with things, right? Like activations and meditations, different books and different things that we're led to. And, I think that sometimes that can be overwhelming for people. So for those of you guys that are going through that, or just awakening, and when you get drawn to this book and that book and this person and that person and what they're saying over here in this class and this workshop, and just sometimes you have to just take a breather in between that, because you can get really overloaded and, fry your nervous system that way too. So it's just, we have to have that interval and integral processing time for all of us.
Yes, definitely. I
Not
think
even,
that's
not even
definitely
just
what I
people
was.
awakening. It's like, this is even people that are advanced, when you start
Oh
having,
yeah, yeah.
and then
Well,
you're
I was
going to
gonna
another
say,
level, and it's
yeah,
like,
what
it's all new.
our frequency changes, and then it's like oil and water with family and friends. Like if you try to bring it up, they just go, okay, that person over there, no, can't talk, don't talk to that person right now, they're off in la la land. And then the other thing is they know, they feel the difference, they feel the frequency shift as well, and that can be uncomfortable for a lot. So like what you were sharing, you could walk into a party and almost, everybody could look at you, and 90% of the people might go to the other side of the room because they just don't understand the frequency. It's like it kicks in fear for some souls who are not, who don't understand the shift yet.
That reminds me of somebody that was at one of our conferences here in Sedona, and she walked in, and she was actually one of those people that could not, well, I don't know, she might have been able to speak it too, but she was massively signing the language, like light language, but like massive. I mean, it was like so quick, and it was like this, just, and she would walk in and she was doing that, and everyone was staring at her like, oh my God, what the hell is going on? But all of us that know, like I had talked to her, so it's not like she's crazy or anything. She literally was clearing the space doing that. That's part of what she was doing. And people didn't understand that at all. And I think that's where, I think that will shift, in our own consciousness, where people start to understand or understand, as we're trying to change that language, to understand that that's something normal. That's something, that will become more mainstream, if you will. It's just not right now. So
it's what we're remembering. And I feel like with the light language and the hand symbols, and a lot of people draw the glyphs as well. It's, to me, I feel like this is going to be like another language we're all going to be able to communicate with each other here.
Oh, absolutely.
Right.
We already have it within us. I do some of the signing, but I also do write it in the air, as well as writing it in, drawing it in my artwork as well. But this is something that I feel like my lesson, or my journey with this and lesson for this whole thing, was just to bring it forth to the world. Okay. To bring it here, so that it is not so crazy. Some people are going to still look at you and go, you're cray cray, just, I don't know.
That's one of my favorite sayings.
We cray cray.
I mean, even now, because I really attune through my hands, like I would say my light language, even though I don't vocalize it, I can hear it coming through my mind and my heart, and I could vocalize it, but I hold back. I do it through hands. So when I like dancing, for me is like I'm moving my hands around in certain ways that feels like I'm bringing the light.
That's absolutely. I mean,
and then I also feel like it's through linguistic expression as well. So even with the higher vocabulary that I utilize, it's also a form of light language.
Absolutely.
I said that on the last show. I was like, you are activating people with the encodements that are behind the words, that are actually behind the words. But what's behind the words is the symbols, the codes, the light language, the divine light codes. And so that's part of this whole thing. We call it light language, but it's really not that. And I even just want to reterm it. Like, I mean, it's really more of a soul language. It's a soul expression. It's not, it is bringing in light, but it's actually much more than that, even by itself.
And it's coming in different forms as well. So I was even given with, it must have been the Palladians at the time, they were even sharing with me to say certain words because they were light encoded and they were bringing in activations. So that was well, by the way, Indy, thank you for sharing that story about your journey. Just before I say something else, because so many star seeds and light workers do go into a very dark night of the soul with depression and addiction and all that kind of stuff. So thank you for sharing that, because it's part of like, don't understand about being here, don't get it. It's too painful to be here. Too painful to be here for a lot of star seeds. That's a good
point that you're bringing up right now. And I really love the free flow of this conversation right now. We have a lot of people coming on the chat too. I just want to take a second to acknowledge that really quick. I'll re-screen share it on the back screen, just because you know how Zoom is when we go live on Zoom. But Yeah, so we have a lot of comments coming in here from lots of people. Paradox Fossils, Angel Wings, Michelle Ulrich, and Arcturian Dreamer. We got an Arcturian in the house.
Hello.
And yeah, Arizona Raven. So light language is currently the hottest topic in discussion. My light language court starts this Thursday. So yeah, everyone's really resonating with light language and the expression of it and how to get past the blockages of expressing it.
Well, you got to come to the class to figure that out. No.
Yes, that's right. That's right.
A lot about that in this course. So for sure, that's going to be a whole section on light language. So in the class, just to share more about what it is, to also help people to understand where the blockages are coming from and why they're there, and how to kind of move past those things as well. So
and for everyone watching, if you've just joined us, me, Pink Bella Aloha, and Lightstar are doing this Starseed Expansion and Advanced Levels of Consciousness course. We are doing this March 31st, April 1st, April 2nd, and April 3rd. And it's going to be a cosmic transformational event. We're going to have 10 live calls. 6 of the calls are going to be all in webinar fashion, and we're going to each be teaching 2 in-depth course classes, and then we're also each doing 1 galactic activation and attunement. So there's 3 classes in 1 day, so 3 days of those 3 classes, and then on the 4th day we'll do a 1 panel discussion and Q&A. And so this is what we're preparing for. All of this that we're discussing today, we're preparing to go into galactic activation and attunement and much deeper levels of starseed ascension, starseed knowledge, starseed history, light language, blue-rayed starseeds, ascension mechanics. So we are really excited to bring this forward. I just wanted to touch on it really quickly just to tell you guys all about it, to let you guys know that this, you can register for the class all the way up until the 31st, basically. So if you want to get in and come join us for this, there's so much that's going to come forward. Everything that we're talking about today, we're going to touch on it in one way or another in the course class. And so to register for that, you just go to learn.indigoangel222.com. But yeah, so essentially there's just so much within this sphere of knowledge and information, right? It's such a huge, and this is what I love about this course, is that we will have the ability to dive into all of the intricacies of each one of these things on deeper levels and layers, which I think is really important for those that are looking for that community, that connection, that other like-minded people who are on this path and on this journey of getting into mission, because mission is the ascent of the starseeds journey, and that's what we're preparing for. And that's, I think in a lot of ways, that's why starseed consciousness comes into people's life, is to prepare them for the journey of mission.
Yeah, to prepare them for now, for this year. Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. It's time for us all to be working. Go ahead.
I have a question for all of you, right? Or for all of us. One of the things that I wanted to know, that maybe we can all share our own experiences with this, is what is the one thing that really is the thing that you learned from the most? Like, what helped you the most from going through your own awakening processes, your own awakening journeys or whatever? What helped you the most after you look back on where you are at this time?
Wow.
Yeah,
that's a good question.
There's a lot.
A really good question.
Deep question.
I think I got elevated, at certain points, I got elevated and escalated quite quickly. So as an example, when I started YouTube, I was actually completely focused on just helping twin flames and divine partnerships. And then the Pleiadians came back in and said, no, now we want you to talk about Blu-ray starseeds. And I was like, I don't know if I could do that. And then I just found out a whole bunch of people were already doing it. So, right. So, but the that helped. So that knowing that there were already a collective starseed community that was building and building and building. And one, like I was sharing earlier, I kept getting words to activate others. So Blu-ray was one of the words that I was given. Starseed was another word. Like that's what the team kept sharing with me. Use these words, and that's going to activate large groups of starseeds, and also soul mission. Mm-hmm. So soul mission was another key word that I was that I knew that I was on mission, and all I kept hearing was that we're connecting all the dots, like the grid work that Indy talks about. We're connecting all the starseeds around the world to get on mission. So I guess just trusting my higher self with the messages that I was getting, because even if I was working with a galactic component, really it was my higher self that I trusted that was taking me forward.
That's awesome. So yeah. Thank you for sharing that. That's cool.
Thank you.
Indy, about you.
I have to say, what the question was, what helped me to get on mission?
What helped you the most, through your ascension process, as you back at it now? Like, what was one of the things that, or maybe a few, if you want to, a few things that maybe
to be honest with you? Wow, that's amazing. Okay. It was that I turned my pain into passion. I turned my suffering into fuel. I mean, if you look at some of my past videos and things that I've put together, I was working through stuff when I was doing all of that. I don't know if people realize how much I was.
No.
I was creating those invocations, those activations. Some might call it idol worship. I am not in a monotheistic mindset. I'm more polytheistic. I'm more open to all aspects of spirituality. I draw from all sources of creation because I believed in the creation processes, and my outlet was creating. So in the beginning, even of my YouTube channel, I wasn't doing it in a service to self mentality in the beginning. I was doing it to heal. I was doing it to create, to feel a sense of self-value and self-worth. And the more that I did it, the more that I connected with others, and the more that I realized that I was expanding. I was expanding to include others in that reality, and I was expanding to help other people. And so I kept learning through each one of those experiences and learning how to open my heart.
Yeah.
Yes.
And so that was how I was doing it, through my creation. I was opening my heart through creation, and through the years, my heart has just expanded. And now I feel like I'm just holding the whole world, through that. And so I thrived off of the idea of serving the world, serving others, getting into service, getting into mission.
Yes.
And
that's powerful. I really, that's a great point about that, because I don't think that people realize that, when we say service to others, we're all supposed to be, service to others, not service to self. But in the beginning, when you're trying to go through your stuff, you kind of have to go within and experience what that is to be in service to self, because how else can you experience the other if you don't know what this is, like what it really feels like? And I don't think it's in the beginning. I mean, it just depends on how you're utilizing it. If you're doing like really horrible things, no, but if you're going within, and you sometimes have to be more self-serving just in the time that you're going through that process, so that you can then be the vessel for love and light and overflow your chalice, instead of. So I look at it like that. That's a great point.
It's a very important aspect in the development of your healing and your ascension.
Yeah, you're gonna go through that. So
you have to go through this, like, and I think that's what mission is about. That's what mission is about, though. Mission is about building the self.
Yeah.
So that way you can have the ability to share with others. I mean, you have to take time, even if it's a year, 2 years, few years of just kind of really putting yourself up on a pedestal, so you can, heal, you can find your passion.
Confidence. Confidence in order to step out to do any of this. So I think to really go through that. But I think that's really powerful. This is like, I know it's a deep question. That's why I wanted to ask it, because it's going to bring out
It's a good one.
some juicy
Thank
Yeah.
you.
here. And I think that's so many people are going through this. So that's why it's, you know, I would say, just to add on to this, one of the things that helped me the most, just for me going through my own journey with it, is that I wasn't really aligned with or knew that I had a certain level of intuition at the level that I had it. Like, I was not aware, because I was having it ever since I was young, but you know, you don't really put the pieces together how it works. And so I felt like once I went through that expression and that experience to utilize my intuition for once in my life, right? To like really let it come out, instead of doing what I did, dialing it down when you're, you know, young and just like, oh, everyone thinks I'm weird, or, oh, this is too overwhelming, so I'm just going to dial it down and not use any of it. And then when I start to come back out again and utilize it, I felt like that was the big that helped me so much to get to the point where I was like, I trust my intuition, and like, I'm just not going to belittle it. I'm not going to put it down, and I'm going to give it a priority in my life, whereas I did not before. And I feel like once you switch into giving it your intuitive abilities, however they express, the priority, then you start to really have extreme amounts of, you know, light and love and all these things coming in, and it all fits together, and the synchronicities work, and you get yourself out of a lot of messes too. I feel like one of the other things that really helped is to, you know, be very discerning. I have a really good, I found that out about myself, though. I didn't really know, but I have a very good, what I call a built-in BS meter. It's just
me as well. Me as well.
Really good. And I've seen it over time, over the course of these years of, you know, where I've just had this beep, 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 beep about someone, just to either like back off or stay back, or don't get too close at the moment, because just stay here, just watch, wait, whatever. And usually that pans out. Like, whatever happened was a good thing that I didn't get myself, you know, in that, because I have just that built-in BS meter. I've seen it happen time and time again, but until you're really forced to utilize it, you don't know that you have it. And I think that's what a lot of, you know, when you're getting into the starseed stuff, you have to utilize those skill sets. You have to exercise them, just like your muscles. You have to use them. And a lot of times when you start to use them, you start finding out about other gifts that you have innately that you didn't know were there. But because you stepped out and started to use it, it starts to show up now.
What was some of the points in your journey where you said, like, you recognized the intuition and you decided to give that your focus? You decided, like, what was the turning point? Like, how did you recognize? Because I do meet a lot of other star seeds, and some of them don't realize they're star seeds, but that's kind of where they're at. They're kind of like, they don't have trust. A lot of people have lost trust in divine faith, hope.
And I think I find that a lot of people, and I found this within myself, but I also see this in some of my client stuff that comes up, is it just that, you know, sometimes you don't think that you're intuitive and you just don't feel like you are. But when you start to really look back at your life, you then see that some of the you were making decisions. Okay. Look at the decisions that you make. Those are where you start to see how my God, I was using my intuition. I wasn't like aligned with it at the moment, like to know I was using it, to know that it was there, and to know that I had that experience where, you know, we have all the clairs, we call it the clairs, clairsentient, claircognizant, clairaudience, all the clairs. Well, there was one that I felt like, which is the claircognizant, the knowing, clear knowing. And I kind of felt when I got into this, like, maybe I'm just not, that one's not as good. Like, I got the visual going on, you know, clairvoyance, and clairaudient, but I didn't address that because I didn't feel like that was my strong one. But then when I started looking back at my life, I was like, oh my God, that was so there. And I wasn't even realizing it was there. It was like really strong, especially empaths. I want to say the empaths that don't feel that they're like in tune with that, they usually really are. So it's like that's like one of their gifts, but they shut it down. So when you start to turn it on again, you realize it was always there. And now you just,
Exactly.
having to utilize it in a different way. So I think that we have the point is that basically we have these intuitive gifts already. It's just that people don't realize that they're utilizing them. And so you have to start picking apart your life a little bit and seeing like how this has worked out and how that's worked out. And oh, I did that and why I did that. And okay, well, that I was guided to do this. I was guided to do that, right? Why were you making those decisions? Sometimes we think that decisions are bad, but they generally aren't, because they were.
Well, we have free will down here, and that's part of the awakening, is to make choices.
Except
and then
for,
go,
I have a question. I have a question
oh,
about
I should have
that.
gone the other way. Yeah.
I have a question about free will for you guys, because okay, we have free will, but then do we have free will in terms of some of us that have come down here that you try to just do your little general 3D life, and
Well, yeah,
you're like, no, sorry, you don't have free will. Like you set this.
Well, I think we came in with a plan to have certain things happen at certain times if we weren't directly in alignment with where we were supposed to be, right? It was like when I was snoozed to go back into corporate. And then when they wanted to unsnooze me, I was like, no, I'm good. I'm just going to stay over here and have my little life and live in my little bubble. And they're like, sorry, no, you made this plan, and yeah, I agree. But I think the free will thing is just from we can try different choices, but eventually we're going to see, I'm hitting a wall. I can't go that way. Like, I think like 3 times into it, something's going on here. I can't seem to go through that door. Let me go within and talk to my, my higher self, my heart, my team, and find out what's going on.
And I think your guides will only let you go they'll let you do that so many times.
I agree.
For your own learning. And then at some point, at some level, it'll be like, no, you've used up your allotment of, the circular.
You've used up your get out of free will cards.
Yeah, so it's interesting. I feel like I go in and out. I go in and out of feeling like I have free will, and I go in and out of feeling like I don't.
Yeah.
And I feel like there are greater cycles, greater planetary evolutionary processes that I also have to submit and surrender to, because those forces are beyond my control.
Well, we're learning so much about, we're remembering about faith, trust, surrender. I feel like we're always going through these little initiations as well. I don't know about both of you, but I always feel like I kind of, even like today with the equinox, I feel like this is like a new beginning, a fresh new start of another chapter. And how do I want that to look? But then I have to surrender the whole thing to the greater plan and see what comes as well. Yeah. So
all I know for sure is that when it's time to make changes, when it's time to move into a new timeline or a new trajectory, a new path, is that again, you said you start to hit the wall. You start to get that pushback or that resistance from everything around you that starts redirecting you until you start listening to what that inner voice is actually telling you. And it will completely take you down just the path of just like complete annihilation until you're like, okay, I get it.
Yeah,
the tower card in the tarot.
I'm the same way as Pink Bella. I went because we went through corporate. So I was same situation where at the time, like I was even given a year before in 2008 that I was supposed to be leaving that. And I'm like, no, and I'm like holding on because it's like, you don't want to let go of the familiar and your paycheck that comes in, that you're like, there's a lot of things that go along with that was very difficult to let go of. So I held on like a cat, like crying, no, like you're trying to drag your cat off the couch. And he's like, no. It's like that until, the bottom drops out. And then you're kind of like, you have no choice, because now you don't have the free will, because you could go back. You could do it. You could go back asleep if you really want to, but your life will be in total chaos and disarray if you do that. And, most likely at that point, you'll be so unhappy. Your soul is like, didn't do what you're supposed to do. That can cause the suicidal stuff too. Like, you're ripped apart there. So you're better off just feeling the fear and doing it anyway and moving ahead. You will get so much further along.
I really feel like we're speaking to so many people right now. I mean, I really feel a strong resonance going out to the collective, and that there are so many that are in that spot right now. that feel stuck in the corporate realm. They feel stuck in their 9 to 5. They feel stuck in their matrix jobs. They're knowing that it is time for them to embark upon a new path. This is really what building the new earth is all about. Because it's coming from the reconstruction of inside us. We are the ones who are going to build the new monetary system. We are the ones who are going to build the new networks and the new support systems for the sensitives, for the indigos, for the empaths, for the starseeds. So the transformation's coming from within. And it's a very painful, difficult process of transformation. But I think that's why I love you guys so much, is because we're actually an example of that, kind of sitting on the other side for those that might be stuck inside of that glass house or stuck inside of the matrix program right now, that we're kind of sitting on the other side of the river. And like extending out a hand, like, get on the boat. Let's go. Come on.
It's not as like when you guys look back on your journey now, it's like, wow, everything that you did, everything that came to, every decision, everything that you did was for a purpose. Like, I feel like it was all on purpose. Like, even when you feel like I was just going off in this weird direction, or that like thought that just took me off that direction, and questioning whether I was doing it or not, and, you know, whether I was supposed to be doing it when I got on the path, then it's even a question about, am I even doing the right thing here? Am I even going in the right direction? And there's so many questions, but all of that is so for purpose. I can't even stress that enough to say, because like people will go through it and think, well, you know, other people didn't have to go through this. And it's like, no, yes, they did. Whether someone's saying it or not, you know, they did have to go through a lot of internal stuff and a lot of facing your own fears.
We have to release a lot. For it to allow the new timeline to come in. And I was like you, Lightstar, I was resistant. I really was. I kept trying. I kept trying to go back for a couple of years. I did, until finally I was like, oh, the door's closed.
Oh, you have no idea. Like,
the door's closed, right?
And it can go, because there was a time where I went back and it was another 10 years before I was like, really, okay, then done with that. So that's what I said. I give my guides, like, give you 3 chances. You know, you can go, third one, okay, you're done with that. Like, so, you know, I even had a broken leg because of it. And I still went back into I mean, it was just crazy. Like, how many times you have to.
Well, because I think even the 3 of us sharing today, even the last couple of years, as much as the timeline's been accelerated on many levels, it also seems like it's going incredibly slow out in the matrix. And I think a lot of souls that maybe are in the matrix are sometimes looking at us going, oh, that looks easy. There's so much that's going on with all of us, like on Earth. It's none of it is easy being down here. But I think once we align with our mission and being of service, like I remember hearing the words, it might have even been from Wayne Dyer, to come in to be of service. And I remember that was a light bulb moment for me, going, yes, I came in here to be of service. So it could just be something like that. Like one of the questions he would say every day was like, just ask yourself every day, how can I serve? How can I assist humanity? And that's a big question to help bring in ideas to start soul mission as well.
So I just want to say here, divine mission. So divine mission is about each soul's individual consciousness and the units of that originate from the eternal God source. And so every soul has this very unique blueprint and has a very divine purpose and a divine mission. And it is our responsibility, as we remember to awaken that it is to learn, it is to evolve, it is to experience all aspects of creation and eventually return back to the eternal God source. And that's kind of like what we're doing in those phases and those processes. And so it's about every soul taking the responsibility to evolve towards ascension.
You know what, something I wanted to throw in here is that I have been, you know, the young souls that are coming in right now, though, I will say this about the younger souls. I don't mean younger souls, but they're older souls. They're just, younger in,
younger avatars.
The younger avatars. And I've been getting this for a long time. 10 years ago, I said there was not that many diamond children coming onto the planet, but now there are. Okay, so they were kind of peeking onto the planet, going tuning around like, I don't know if I'm ready for this place yet or not, or, you know, and yet now I feel like they're coming in. And so I feel like the younger, those younger avatars will actually have, I want to say, an easier time of it than we did. It's like we've been kind of, you know, ripping ourselves in the inner wounds and all that stuff. And I feel like some of them don't have that to go through. They won't have as much to go through as we did. It's like we're collectively already going through it for them. And now they're like
Yeah.
diamonds. So they're much more, they're stronger. Think of a diamond, right? They're stronger.
Yes.
They can see through things much clearer. They don't have to go through as much of the, maybe some of that dark night. I still think they're going to have their lessons and they're going to have to deal with stuff here, but not as much and as dramatic as we have, you know.
Well, it's the evolution of the avatar body, the 12th dimensional body, where you are going from the silicate matrix to these higher refined levels of carbon, right? And then we get into actual, you know, the crystal silicate and the diamond silicate, and you're evolving the DNA to these, you know,
that's exactly
subtlety awarenesses in your consciousness.
We're going to be doing a lot of talking about that in our class, by the way.
Yes.
Something I know that Pink Bella is going to do, and then I'm going to get to do the activation as well, and the DNA and the silicate, bringing us back there. So we're going to go through a lot of that activation, clearing, and, you know, galactivation, if you whatever you want to call it.
Galactivations,
upgrades, that, because that is crucial right now for that to happen. So I think we're gonna be focusing on that. So you guys aren't not gonna want to miss that. I know.
Excited.
Yes.
Excited.
I kind of have a question as well that kind of ties into everything that we were just talking about. So my next part for all of us is, okay, we knew that we started in to learn about our intuition, to bring our gifts online. Somewhere along the line, we heard the word starseed and we resonated with that. But when did both of you realize that, oh, I'm supposed to be on soul mission now, and that I'm going to be helping others? I know that's a big question.
Yeah,
too,
good question.
These questions are very thought provocative. Like
they are, well, because I know, because there's so much we could bring in, but you know how, like, I started off as it was my spiritual journey. I was just a seeker like Indy and you, like learning. I wanted more information. And as soon as I found out about, you know, Bringers of the Dawn, and there's channeled information from the Pleiadians, that was a big piece for me. I thought, I'm not alone. Like, I remembered seeing ships when I was younger, and then it all started flooding back, you know, but I'm too, like, I'm thought provoking, thinking, when did you both know that you were going to start like a YouTube channel and you were going to start helping others?
Well, I can tell you this. When my partner, when Stands with Bear went to England for a month or so, I think he went to England for a month, and it was back in, I don't exactly remember when, but I would say it's probably around Indy looked at my channel. I didn't even remember how long I had my channel for, but it was like 2012, an interesting year for me to have started that.
I think that's when I started mine too. I think that's when I started mine too. Yeah.
Right. On timing. And I had a very big loss that year too, where I actually lost my dad in that year. So I was going through a lot, but he went off to England for a month, and I was at home, and I was just thinking to myself, when I was starting to do light language, you know, more at that time, but it was starting to come out. And I just said, you know what? I'm getting the calling to do this on YouTube. And so I just, you know, he wasn't there to give me the support, like, hey, go ahead. I didn't even tell him I was doing it. I was just like getting that, okay, I'm doing this. And so that pushed me to actually put out my very first video about light language and doing the light language and speaking it. And then after, I didn't know what to expect, because I really didn't think anyone would even watch it, you know, at the time. And just come to realize that everyone was getting activated from this light language, that's when I started to go, okay, maybe there's something to this, to be able to assist people in awakening, because all these people were like, I just got really activated. And, oh my God, I just had this memory. And wow, that really felt like home for me. And so a lot of things were starting to happen. And I think that's where I first realized that, okay, I mean, I was doing psychic readings in Uptown in Sedona. So I kind of knew I was already doing work for people, helping people. But at this level, it was like, no, okay, the mission has to be shifted into this, and my artwork has started to flourish and come out and started to see codes coming in and all this stuff coming in to help people. So I think that that was kind of my first initiation into, okay, this is going to be of service to others, and from then it just cascaded into like everything being of service to others, right? Everything for the collective, everything else it's for me, but I mean, you have no idea how much work this takes, right? It's like, it's all, but it's all for the collective, for helping people to awaken.
Yes.
So that would be my piece of it. What about you,
Awesome.
Indy?
Yeah, I'm resonating with you so much. For me,
I think I'm freezing.
Gosh, it's all intermingled. I realized I was a Hydra Starseed ambassador. I came into a deep connection with the moon. Essentially, I was communicating with the moon. Me and the moon are very close. I have the moon Cancer position in my moon position. So I realized I was a Hydra Starseed, and my moon position was very important to me. Feels like it's where I'm most psychically connected. And so I really initially dived into the Hydra part of myself. Looks like we have
I think she said she's probably gonna, I bet she's gonna come back on
okay, she might come on her tablet, but yeah.
Yeah.
I embraced my Hydra aspect, and
okay.
I started going into my origins. I started to connect into them and go into the depth of my soul and allow this to bring up everything from my subconscious and from my Akashic records and from the planetary Akash. And I started to become one with planetary knowledge and architecture. And I don't feel, honestly, to this day, I don't feel like anything I do now is even for myself. I feel like now what I do in the beginning, it was for myself, but now I feel like it's, I don't feel that my body is even my body at times. I feel like my body is the planet's body. My body is the stars. Yeah. And so I really got into the Hydra mythology. I was really being guided by that cosmology, by the star system. I was being told that I was an ambassador of this system, and it was to represent the divine feminine. It was to represent the demonization of the feminine. And to fight for the loss and the rejection of the serpent knowledge, which is really ancient occult knowledge that went all the way back to the motherlands of Mu.
Yeah.
And that even everything biblically that was taken from this original ancient knowledge of the motherlands of Mu that goes into Lemuria.
Yep.
And I was being told things that ultimately defy the mainstream starseed history. I was being told that serpent knowledge was the most ancient records. I don't think this goes back further than dragon. I think that dragon and serpent are of the same soul collectives. They're seraphim soul collectives, but I was getting shown that the serpent knowledge was a progenitor, primordial mother race, and that they were part of the first beings that came here. And that's why all of the ancient Lemurian communities, cults, civilizations had birthed through this knowledge. If you go back and look at the Stargate history and locations, according to grid work, that there's serpent statues, serpent cosmology everywhere. And so I was just being activated by this and by the Hydra system, and I was being told that this is an occult system. So this wasn't embedded into guardian contract, so to speak, that this was left out because there are particular facets in evolution that guardian consciousness developed within to assist the spiritual evolution of humanity, but other particular things were left out because it just didn't fit some of the narratives of growth, basically. But that my job as an ambassador from the system was to resurrect that knowledge and information and try to integrate more of the ancient history. And that's
what you're going to be bringing to the
class. That's
yeah, exactly. That's what's coming to the course. I'm going to bring all of that in this weekend galactivation transformational event that we're doing. That's all going to come forward, and I really look forward to sharing it. Most definitely, yes.
I'm excited.
Yeah, we're all looking forward to that piece of it because, we really need to have that. It's very important. And especially coming from the divine, perspective of female, because we haven't seen that so much. A lot of it's been coming from the male perspective. Not that I have nothing to, I have no problem with the male energy, right? We all it's got to be a balance though. I think the masculine and feminine has to be in balance. It's not supposed to be like one more than the other, but on this planet, it has been. It's just been the times of women, and then the times of the masculine comes in and takes over, and then the women go to the other side, sway to the other side.
Well, I feel like a few of them they cleared the way for us, for us to have this amazing course in galactivation, and then for Indy to bring in her perspective. I'm really excited about that. So it's going to help all of us. Yeah.
Well, thank you guys so much. We've been on for a little bit of time now. I just wanted to actually flip back over to our chat room here and just say if anybody actually has any questions at this time, that we would love to be able to take some of the questions. There is a little bit of like a 5-second delay for when people actually chat, but if some things come through here.
While you're looking through the questions, can I just answer the question as well?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. So what I wanted to share was when the team at that point that I was working with, which I believe was a cross between the Arcturians and the Andromeda Council at that point, they came to me one day and they shared that they started to share the words, like not to the same frequency as Indy's sharing, but that I needed to start really talking about soul mission and blue rays and starseeds, which is what I'll be sharing about as well, about the higher aspect of the chakras and moving into different versions of the Akashic records. And I was shy about it at first, but when they shared with me, well, this is you being of service now, remembering that you're a starseed and helping other starseeds also remember why they're here, that you're not all crazy, that you all came in, with this inner manual that needs to be activated. So it's not just the three of us here, it's that everybody, even that wants to come to the course or works with us, that we're here to assist you, to help you remember to align with your mission and your frequency, because you did come in to do something specific and unique, like activate the new grids, create new information, bring in the new financial system. It's all of that. So when they started talking to me about Blu-rays, that was another OM goddess moment where I was like, yes, oh my goodness, I'm a Blu-ray, of course. And I'll be talking about the Blu-ray frequency and what that means as well. So yeah, I just wanted to share that.
Thank you. Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, some good questions between us.
Yeah, I want to say too, it is, I think, in terms of a galactic skill, when we talk about galactivation, some of my research has taken me into the Laniakea systems and how even the starseed nations that we see in the sky, like Orion and Arcturus and Lyra and Sirius and Andromeda, that they are simply also ambassadors of greater nations, that we're galaxy seeds, we're not necessarily just star seeds.
Yeah, I agree, Andy, and I think the word starseed is like a core activation that really starts to move the chakra system and the blueprint to bring that into focus. But I agree with you. Like, I'm excited even to know about the other systems. Yeah.
So I can't wait. I can't wait to bring all of this forward, and it's going to be so amazing. We're so excited. So also, Lightstar, I wanted to give you an opportunity because I feel like, let me stop my screen share there. I feel like it would be really, really nice to hear some of your other light languages, maybe just a couple of them. I know we all kind of came in really feeling Andromeda's energy.
Yes, definitely want to.
So I'm going to use my starseed.
Yeah, I'm going to use mine
Andromedan activator.
Got mine too.
I was guided. That was the first one I was guided to put on this morning. Spray.
Oh, it smells so nice.
The Andromedan spray. So I was like, okay, well, I guess it's got to come first.
It smells beautiful.
I think two of the ones we were talking about were Andromeda, but we were also talking about Arcturus. So also feeling like Arcturian energies also wants to come forth. But and I think the reason why I was getting the Andromedan too is I see the Andromedans as great teachers. I see them as like not to say like the only teachers, but they are very, very adept, very high level teachers and healers as well. And so since we're talking about teaching in the class and all that, so I guess it's like part of the reason I wanted to come in. So I'm thinking that's what I'm feeling is Andromeda and also some Arcturians. So you can spray some Arcturian if you want to, because that'll bring some of the
definitely
energy.
will. I'll
The
definitely will.
Arcturians actually bring in like, they help to clear the mind space. I call it the mind field up here because
We're gonna mix them together.
Mind. And so
Yeah.
every time it's like they're like the best. So it's like you could bring in other ones, but like the Arcturians are the clearing, mind clearing. And so they bring through more of a transmission to help clear the energy of the mind energetically. So that's kind of what's going to come through. I probably will just roll one into the other, rather than stopping and saying, okay, I'm going into, but you'll see, you hear the difference basically. So everybody, most of the people on here are probably familiar with light language and all of that, to put the mind off to the side and just listen with your heart and open with that heart space and just allow your body to shift if it needs to, whatever wants to come in for you specifically. And so, yeah, so let me just get into my little space here. Everybody take a nice deep breath in too. Just breathe in there and back into your body. But we're going to bring in some higher frequencies from the Andromedans and the Arcturians. Ite sani eki wakaye sa hani ite hoshowa mai gora shania samati ita. Soyana itaya asana ewatai haya kamayash shua narioto naioto yayesam monetishi ar ikiunatan ma okwayatas. Sianana yawatayam lucky alameshti anam awakwayanat. Siakna aramash. Itiwa sana lalesen uma shi watia sokorama kayes woshinala satomaet. Ise iwakai ewakayes siana iteoata na akwea okweta. Soyamashe etiwaki isani ituwa ashiwakai ketai asam iwashama atala. Itewa sa haisai akoyesh nemi ola kaite he iti sunaye washaye waki na isan wadaso osho tayo maki hira taye so taya na kainta wujasho ulinta la samaki tiise etini ataya sanai ki hayentiso kumai situhi ni kwayatesa Kumai et Wuralamateso, Urishinia Tarialats, Tenea Saya Tema. And take a nice deep breath in. Sia Tanini Suturumashan no Matasono, Kurishini Turumanasanto, Roshamaneti Seti, Terenini Tusa, Nanatusa, Yishini, which is shown to. Jaime Woikoyantai, Makoyan, and Sequoian and AT, Waratani, Shutai, Miki Wakaine, Wusati, Shikini, and Nanturum, Unamak quiet, my, why, one, so, Shoya, Okoyawantani, Uki, Niatari, also, Nai, Wiki, Nyaria Toso, Omaki. They say, Tenanata, Tananasa, Ta Sot, Usa, Taranata, Taranata, Sot, Mishiwaka want, sincerity, uncertainty. Usi on shy, we see on Koyamatsu to in Tisho, Urishini went at my hiti, Kuyinti, Sota, Inchia, Naso, Hua, Washian, Wagi, Kiwa, Home Sea, Shiki, or Anatomia, Suni, Shumiyamniato, Uba, Swate. Waji and the other city itera, Tara Santo, Horoshan and the East, Huromakatishi, Shuan Chiwati, Washana Asopia, Esiptiria. Umanatasami came in Akshona, Ikit on Tahisam, Puramanati Shikinya, Wyan take a waka into Somakayego, where so Osha Ute, Uran Saratansa, Tarananatsa, Tarananatsa Sot, Tiso Tarananata, Tarananatsa Sot, mi ishua mi okoe nata uki shua inti isisi another water show or amtikuya tamneso to paishmia chimana doso okarinti esetetana tanana soto kanimisi to oshino okoyasam barasham. And just take a nice deep breath in and breathe. Just allowing the energies to come forth in there.
Wow.
Sorry, my camera sometimes goes blurry, which apparently it did throughout that. Oh, there we go. Okay.
I really felt the shift between the two. So can you explain which ones were which?
Yeah. So the first one was Andromeda and the second one was the Arcturian. And so yeah, the Andromedan, I felt like I don't do word for word translation. I'll talk about that a little bit in the class, but I don't try to do that because that dilutes the message a bit. But I do feel the energy of what comes through, generally speaking. And so I was feeling that because what they were sharing with so many people about like teaching and also preparation. So I was getting a lot of preparation energy with that, like preparing people or preparing their energy fields for receiving. And I'm downloading and integrating right now. So that's what I was feeling was coming through with the Andromedan. And then the Arcturian, like I said, they mostly come in to do a lot of mind clearing. So there's a lot of, we always have space, like scattered energies, scattered thoughts, things that are, you know, in our energy field even. And so they were actually helping to do this. So for anybody out there, like that's listening to this, even after this, it's still relevant because these are things that we have to deal with all the time and always constantly in our field. And so they're coming in to like reset, recalibrate the mind or the mental space. And that would be our thoughts, other people's thoughts that are in our energy field and are specifically in our mind field, and clearing some of that as well. So those are the things that were coming through. And I never quite know exactly what energies will come through, you know, with the Arcturians. But with that said, that's what they were doing, kind of the overview, because there's other people watching this. So it's not going to be a specific thing for someone like in a session, but it's really the general clearing for the mind space. And I just love them.
That was amazing.
I got really, like, every time I do that, like with the Arcturians, I just feel so like it just clears, like the field just clears. I can't even explain it. It's just like boom. It's like they clear out even entities in the energy field, like, you know, mind stuff and all of that. It just feels like it's like a breath of fresh air just came in and just went.
Yeah. Feels like a zero reset.
Yeah, it is. It's powerful. So
yeah.
I have a question. So
thank you.
So you see 20 languages. Do you have all of them? Like, you know, every single?
I would say I'm utilizing about 10 of those in more of a regular basis, like through my chakra clearings and things of that. And then the other ones, they are in bandwidths that I just had a new one come in from Spica. So
wow.
that's a new one that came in the end of last year, I want to say, and I did a video about it because it was very interesting. It just came right in, and yet it was about a very specific topic about AI. Actually, they were talking about, so it was a very specific message more that was coming through. And so there's a few that will drop in, and I'm sure as I move forward in life, as I'm ready to open up to new ones, because I haven't been extremely open to opening myself up to the rest of them, you know, that are up there, mainly because I got enough, you know, to deal with. Like that's like
you have enough on your plate.
It took me a couple of years to integrate, you know, all these things already.
We have some, I just want to say we have some stuff coming in the chat. There seems to be some similar questions around the blue avian. So Mystical Lisa TV says, when people refer to blue avians, would they usually be or blue beans, would they be referring to blue avians, the blue energy of blue ray Arcturians, blue avians, blue beans? I'm curious to learn. I think that is a common confusion between blue beans and blue avians. And then what systems are they from? Do you guys have any insight on that?
I have something that I can tell you about the because this happened to me in dream time. I'm going to be sharing a lot in dream time about in the class, but this is one that actually came in that I did not at the time of the dream. I wasn't really, this was like literally early on. So I want to say almost 10 years ago, that this dream came in. It was actually about someone I know that also, Pink Bella was Rion. So I was dreaming about, I had a dream about him. We constantly have dreams, he's my brother. So we're always like doing stuff. And yet I had this dream that he was on mission and I was in the dream watching his mission. But long story short, there was a house or sorry, a building that we were all in. A bunch of people were in this building. Across the street from that building was this another building. And up on the roof, there were all these beings from another world that looked like tall birds. Okay. I was just to say they looked like that and they were like colored and stuff. And I was like, wow, that's interesting. The thing about it is that they were holding up these hand symbols, like going like this.
Like the light language.
And I didn't know what that was. Like I wasn't aware of it. It wasn't really light language. Like they weren't going like this. They were just holding up like hands like this and doing motions with or symbols with their hands or like sign language almost. And at the time, then when I woke up, I was like, at first I was like, well, I don't even know. Could it be draconian? I was like that time because I couldn't really tell who it was. And I didn't even know anything about the blue avian. I've never heard that term before in that time. So I didn't actually know there was, blue avian. So where I probably termed it as some other ET race, but since then, I guess I've learned that that's what the blue avians have, certain hand symbols that they hold up and they kind of look like that. So I was kind of like, well, I think those were probably the blue avians then. I'm my best guess, unless you know of another race that does that. But I have just since heard that that's what they do. That's how they communicate, or one way that they communicate is through these specific hand symbols or hand signing. So that's been the only experience I would say that I would literally have of if it was the blue avians was in that dream experience. Other than
I'm a Gemini, so I can get in my mind and go back and forth about things like super, super fast. And I think it was the Arcturians actually who really helped me kind of zone in and just start looking at things from a higher perspective, because I think everyone starts on this journey differently. Some people start with the archangels or their higher self. And I kind of landed in with the galactic piece first. And then I felt lost because I really felt like it alienated me and I couldn't figure out how to piece it all together.
Literally alienated.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah. Then I started with the archangels and then healing and Reiki and all of that. And then what the Arcturians brought into for me is, even though there's all these different stellar races, it's fun to figure out who we are and where we came from and where we resonate from. But we're really all connected to a frequency that connects us to Prime Source Creator, God, all that is. We're really all here, starseeds, boots on the ground, galactic beings that will be working more and more together to create the new Earth. And what they shared with me last year was the blue frequency connects all of these blue races. That's how we kind of know, well, and we know with our heart too, we know with the resonance as well. Like that's probably even with your light language, you've had to trust and be open that the information that they're channeling through you is high frequency, of course. So that's how I was getting all wrapped up in my head. Well, how do I know who I'm using and or who I'm speaking to and what they're sharing is of high frequency? And they just said to me, just focus on the blue frequency. It connects all of them. It connects all of us on the same team, working for the highest good of New Earth and humanity and the collective and the galaxy and the universes. And then the light bulb went on for me, because I've always resonated with color. Like when I started healing for myself, I always loved color, and blues just brought so much peace for me. So hopefully that helps some people out there to understand too, that we're all connected. We're all on the same team. Yeah.
I think you're right about that. I do know, I think the blue avian thing, honestly, was that not channeled through Corey Good?
I believe he came out with it, but there were people that were experiencing the blue avians before Corey Good even came out. I mean, I can say that dream I had was before I even heard of Corey Good and his information. So, and then I had talked to a few other people that had said they had also had blue beings in their dreams that looked just like that before
Okay.
all that.
Well,
comments are
well,
coming.
yeah, I guess maybe they felt that everybody was at a frequency where they could start showing themselves as
Yeah, I
well.
mean, and
Yeah.
I think that's why, yeah,
You know, we have to get, like, I always think of that bar scene in the original Star Wars movie.
yeah,
Even that was channeled in to get us used to looking at different beings
different
in
races.
different
They
forms.
don't all
Yeah.
look like us, although a lot of them
That's
do,
right.
but there's some that don't look like us
Yeah.
at
Because
all.
they want to see if any fear comes up,
Yeah.
and then we have to clear that as well.
I
So.
can just tell you, like, instinctively or telepathically, intuitively, I immediately go to Africa when it comes to the blue avians, and I start
Okay.
connecting with the African connection to the blue race people. So there's actually blue skinned people in Africa.
Mm.
I don't know like which specific tribes. I think they're probably more North African, but they have silver and blue skin. And just as I think about that and tune into that, I'm immediately
they didn't show
drawn to
them. They
them.
didn't show themselves to me when I was there. I probably wasn't ready. I probably wasn't ready.
But that's another connecting piece with all of this. I think that
Yeah.
starseed celestial consciousness is a part of civilizational development, and that they
Yes.
come to grow particular civilizations. Like if you think about Sirius and the Dogons, you think about Orion and the ancient Egyptians, Cygnus, I really tie them to Denmark. I mean, I actually have like this whole vision of a map in my mind where specific star systems have
funny that
seeded.
you're saying that, because I do, when I started, that's my light language started coming in from all these different places. And then I started to see there are certain locations on the planet here on the globe that I feel that's that original language in that particular area or that geographical area is related to a specific race. They've showed me different areas of where they've been connected, like as I'm doing it. That's just something that I've gotten downloaded of where they are and where they're located at. And there's some that are in different places, like Pleiadians I see in Hawaii, but also in other areas in California area. Just, like there's different areas.
I see Pleiadians Canadians, like that's what they showed me.
Canadians.
Right? Yeah. And then also Ireland. Pleiadians were very relevant in parts of Ireland as
there
well.
Are absolutely, there are different places. Like even when I was speaking, the Arcturian for me like comes in very closely to the Asian realm, to the Asian community, all of that, like over by China. And then there's also a one race that isn't well known, the Phyla, which I brought out a couple videos on them because not very many people talk about them. But the Phyla I get is like, it's like an area of Mongolia almost, like that's where it's kind of like located. So it's a very unique and different one. So, but yeah, it's interesting where you can see. And then when I bring the languages through, I can actually kind of feel like the origins of that language. Whereas like it's maybe translated totally diluted and it's in totally different language now, but the original, the people that brought, that language to that area influenced the area.
Definitely.
Those races,
definitely.
and these picked
Well,
up
and this is where I think too, Stargate knowledge is important. And this is, I guess I'm gonna touch on this in the course.
I was gonna ask if you were gonna touch on the Stargates.
Yeah, I think I will. I think I will. It's important. I think Stargates, I mean, there's 12 universal Stargates, and within those Stargates, I think there's 24 to 48 differentiations, can't get that word out, differentiations of celestial diversification within those. So one Stargate could be running 48 dimensions of different celestial blueprints within one Stargate. So let's take Machu Picchu, for example, sacral chakra of the world, major Stargates running 48 different celestial gene code identities or radial identities within those, meaning it's emanating source code from 48 different celestial systems.
Right.
So it's bringing forth the manifestation bodies and templates on the earth for us to manifest our realities. It's kind of like the earth's spiritual immune system, also the spiritual, manifestation blueprint, basically. So it's all quantum energy because galactic's going quantum cognition, but that's what the Stargates are meant to be and do for humanity, is to bring the information through on a planetary level, which is then what we're picking up on when we're picking up on the blue avians and the Pleiadians and all of this transmission. It's a direct transmission from Stargate encoding as well, because it's what we ultimately, like, where we're drawing that energy from.
And I have a question about that for you. because I've always felt like, portals and stargates that are all in different places and all in space and in here and our planet everywhere. But I've always had this vision and of like, you can't go through all the stargates. You're not allowed to go through them unless you have like a DNA match or signature match that will allow you to align with that specific stargate and either go through it or receive the information from it. But if you don't have that signature, it won't transmit or it won't bring through. What's your feeling about that? That's what I've said. It's just kind of like, not everybody.
I think that's true. We have to attune. I think it's a process of breaking down the carbon body and becoming more attuned to just radial diversity in the body. But yeah, we go through different phases of our evolutionary processes and our ascension that prepare us for accessing the stargates. We can go in them, we can go through them. How I've come to process that internally is I'm essentially just seeing into the holographic architecture of them. And it can take time. Like even when I went to Machu Picchu, I felt like I had to keep asking permission to access the Stargate, to see the Stargate, to align to it. And so it didn't even come forward until I'd spent like a few days there and really aligning to the energy.
That's something that does grow. Like 1 year, you might go out there and get like access denied. And then maybe like in 3 years, you go back and you've you've totally shifted your energy field. And now you're able to access that. So maybe that's just a fail safe for us to not access information before we're ready to.
And it's part of going through the integrity of the initiations to ensure that we're not going to misuse the Stargate or the information, that sort of thing. So we're constantly being tested.
Tested and initiated.
That in too in the class, the Jedi testing and some of the
well, I'm so grateful to be with you, soul sisters, that we all understand that, right?
Going through it never ends, really.
So I'm not sure if I can actually share. I know that we did this video, and I'm not sure if the sound will come through if I play our video for the course. Can you guys hear that?
No.
Can't hear it? No? Okay.
I think you have to share your, I don't know if you can do it on here.
I might have to change my Zoom settings actually to do it.
There's a way if you could go, I did this before.
Hang on just 1 second, guys. I know we are live here, so I'm just going to go to my audio settings and see if I can switch it to the speaker to my computer.
Lightstar is more IT tech than me. I love it.
Because I did it and I'm trying.
Oh, you did it. That's right. You did it. That's right.
I did this.
How about now? Can you hear it now?
I can't see it now. The share went away.
Yeah, I don't see it or hear it, but there is a way on here.
Here we go.
View.
But you can't hear it?
If you go to...
No.
Okay. Yeah, I always struggle with the
the options don't seem to be here when they were there before when I did it. So I'm like, I don't know where those options went.
That's okay. Well, we'll just go back to the course. So yeah, guys, for everyone watching, we would love you guys to come and join us. This is definitely going to be a next level transformational event. Everything that we're talking about today, we're just kind of dropping like tidbits to everything that we're going to go much more in depth into the teachings of the course. And so we're so excited to share all of this with you guys. And we're really hoping that this is going to just expand people's field to the next level. Again, really help people to get on mission, help people to awaken to their starseed consciousness and their starseed galactic evolution, because this really is such a fundamental phase in bringing forward the new earth, bringing forward everything that we're growing into as a collective and helping people to get on mission as well. It's just so imperative. It's so important at this time. I think especially after coming out of the winter solstice into the equinox and kind of coming through those more dissension cycles in the planetary phases. And so this is reactivation. This is really getting us prepared to take on those new reality timelines. And so we really hope to see you guys there. And I just want to say thank you so much for watching today. And if you guys have any last messages for everyone today that you would like to share.
I just want to say thank you for everybody that's on the call and that has, on here today. You guys, we love you and we want to expand your consciousness. And we're so excited to do that. So I hope you guys are able to join us because we're going to really just bring it. And I'm excited to do that with these other ladies here and our collective energy, as you can tell. So you got a chance to kind of see what we're all about here. And I hope you guys come and join us. And thank you for being here. And thank you, Indy, for having us on here.
Yeah. And I was just remembering as well, like everything that we've all gone through and we've shared about today is helping us bring that to all of you watching today as well, or who will come and join the course. Hopefully we really want to align you all with remembering who you are, being a starseed, being on mission, clearing away all the clutter, anything that might be blocking you from making those next steps, or taking, and knowing that you have a mission. Every single person watching this today, or afterwards, you all have a purpose. And I was given the message from the Lyrans that this is the year for the collective starseeds to really align with mission. And that by taking something like this course, we're elevating you and all of us to that next level to work together and to expand your field and your consciousness. So yes, thank you so much, Indy, for having us. And thank you everybody who's here and watching us today. We really appreciate you all.
Okay. And yeah, so if you guys want to join, you just have to go to learn.indigoangel222.com and sign up. All of the links will be down in the description in this video today. And we're so excited. We can't wait to see you all there. And I hope you have a beautiful rest of your day. Namaste, cosmic blessings, and take care.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
Mahalo nui loa. Bye.
Love you all.